Welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed your break. I know our next player has had time to rest his voice, so take it away, Roos.
Hi there, everybody. I am RooseSR. You may recognize me from my work about 3 feet over there doing commentary for the last run, where we saw Ori and the Blind Forest. This is going to be the second game in the series, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and we're doing the main quest order category, which I will let my commentators kind of describe once we get started. I'm joined by two very good commentators. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Jay Hobbs.
Hi, I'm Scarfelt.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started, and then I'll let you folks explain it as we get going. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so this is main quest order for Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Basically, this is the sequel to Ori 1, for anybody who doesn't know. And we call it main quest order because the idea for this is to basically do all of the main story of the game, basically. Do the quests of the game. And do them in pretty much the proper order. There are some spots where we can kind of decide to do things in different orders, but really we just got to kind of follow the main order of it. That way you don't end up with too many skips, kind of.
Yeah, it is worth mentioning there are still going to be skips, and there's going to be some sequence breaks as well. But mostly what we're going to be doing is just doing levels in a way not intended. And there's still going to be a lot of really cool movement tech throughout the run, so...
Yeah, the idea behind this category was to be able to still have to do all of the wisps and all of the escapes and all of the bosses in the game. So if you like that content from Ori 2, you're going to get all of that in this.
Yeah.
Right now, Roos is running around in Inkwater Marsh here. Has just picked up the torch, which is a fantastic little early game weapon that unfortunately won't be holding on to for too long, but is really useful in the time that we've got it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that we only keep this watch for 3 minutes maybe, but it already gets to have its own trick, which you're going to see in about a minute, not even a minute, about 20 seconds or so.
Yeah, actually right now, just...
Right now, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the hover flying over. So the up slashes with the torch can kind of hover you in the air really well. And now also going to be doing a little jump around here because with the torch, Roos can't grab onto the moss on the ceiling and has now picked up a keystone.
Yeah, worth mentioning at this point, you're meant to have there's meant to be a waterfall which puts the torch out, but we still have it, which means that we have to do some weird movement to get over earlier, but also we have to get rid of the torch pretty soon, because if we enter the first boss fight with the torch, the game soft locks.
Yeah, I definitely don't want that happening. You might have noticed that Roos is also picking up these, little yellow orbs of spirit light. Kind of similar to Ori 1, but in this case, they're more of a currency. And it's really important that Roos gets to 400 Spirit Light. This speedrun is done on normal, which means that in order to get a very powerful weapon, Roos is going to need 400 Spirit Light at a pretty early portion of the level, or of the game rather. So you're going to see quite a bit of 50 Spirit Light containers being picked up, and then also quite a few slimes are going to get killed pretty soon.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that our first weapon we're going to get is going to completely break the game for pretty much the next hour, so look forward to that. We'll see that in about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I apologize if everybody loses their eardrums during the section coming up. It is impossible to sound balance this game, but for the rest of the game, and also Howl, because he's the loudest thing in the universe.
Yeah, Howl is so much louder than every other part in the game. It's kind of unreal.
Yeah, I don't know why it's like that, but this is the first boss of the game. You only have to deplete half of its health. Roos is waiting a little bit before attacking because even though you can attack sooner, it doesn't do any damage. And then a lot of upswings is really all you need in order to deal the highest DPS and take it out in 3 cycles there. Very nice.
Of note, that torch that we got in that fight, the reason we had to extinguish our torch before going in there is if we had a torch and picked up that torch, again, that's where the game would have soft locked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Howl decides that maybe different prey is better, one that doesn't fight back with the torch, so it just runs away. And now we're to Howl's turn to get our first main ability, which is Spirit Edge.
Yeah, this is kind of the bread and butter of comparing Ori 2 to Ori 1, I would say. You get a sword, and you get many weapons, in fact, in normal casual playthrough of this, but the sword is going to be incredibly useful for the entire run. It's just a good damaging weapon on its own right, but also it can help stall you in the air, kind of similar to how the torch was doing, but not quite as effectively.
The Spirit Hedge sword has a lot of different movement. You can see this a little bit here right now with the slash to get up to that little ledge. There's a lot of little stuff where you can basically just save a tiny bit of time by using sword swings.
The important things are we're going to be able to use that up slash to gain a little bit of vertical height, and also when we hit things with our sword, it's going to refresh all of our abilities like double jump and things like that that we'll be acquiring later. So it's a very, very useful skill.
Alright, so right now, Roos just picked up some more Spirit Light. Is going to be heading left towards the wall jump area. Wall jump. I'm thinking Ori 1 again.
Well, yeah.
Double jump. We just saw a fantastic Ori 1 run, so my head got all mixed up. Double jump area here. So there are still these, skill trees or spirit trees that are going to give you various skills in the game. Double jump is given pretty early in this game, and immediately you can see it get used with the sword in combination for some really fancy movement.
There's some pretty cool stuff where if you jump and then swing your sword and then double jump to cancel that into another sword swing and stuff like that, you can get a tiny bit more height, which you'll see here to get some Spirit Light. This Spirit Light you're meant to normally come from above and the right, but we got it the wrong way, which is pretty cool.
You can see just like tons of little sword slashes thrown in here and there just because of the way that it like affects your momentum. Like you can sword slash kind of interrupt your movement in one direction and accelerate in the other direction a little bit faster. So it's a great tool for a lot of small optimizations.
Yeah. We're coming up now on door skip. Do you want to talk about that, Hobbs? Or?
Yeah, sure. So door skip is a pretty cool skip in this game. It saves a lot of time. Basically, there's this whole path off to the left that you're supposed to do, but Roos is going to skip needing the keystones for this door. He actually didn't pick up one of the ones earlier, and because of this, he's going to also be able to grab a keystone to use later, which is going to help out a lot. So he's going to do a precise setup here using some of the scenery and also this little mantis squonky thing. The pogo off of it at the right time gets him just high enough, and he can get all the way up to skip the door entirely, pretty much. So great job, Roos. First try on that is always
that's perfect.
Super huge sigh of relief to have that done. That's like one of the most challenging tricks in the run, I would say. Or the pogo setup is definitely very strong, but you can definitely go through phases where you just have a really hard time with it.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where, sometimes if you don't get it first try, it just takes forever. It can be really nerve-wracking in a marathon run, so good job for getting it first time.
The community worked really hard on finding that skip and also making it easier and easier over time to just, help. I wouldn't even say easier, just, to make better setups so that more people could learn it and stuff. So Roos has picked up a couple things now. Reckless, which is a shard that's going to make him take more damage, but also deal more damage. And also Regenerate, which I'll let Scarfell talk about a little more because it's really broken in some unintended ways.
Yeah, so Regenerate is, think you're focused from Hollow Knight, or any kind of heal. You just can stand still for a bit and then you'll heal up. Which doesn't sound like it'd be very useful in speedrun, standing still, but it's actually going to be used for the fastest speed tech in the whole game. So look forward to that in about 5 minutes. It's very cool, very flashy.
Until now, just going to kind of work back out of Inkwater Marsh a bit, and Roos is also going to go for a cutscene skip up here called Offer Skip. Basically, you're just supposed to watch this little cutscene, but if he does some fancy movement, he can get over it. I'm not going to spend too long talking about that because what's really important is that from Offer, you are going to buy Sentry. And Sentry is the most broken weapon in this game. It's going to allow him to get a lot of height by doing an up slash and a Sentry at basically the same time. It looks something like this.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous how much height you get from this. And it's worth mentioning that doing it on the ground isn't actually very difficult. Doing it in the air is a lot harder. You have to be exactly 3 frames apart, which is very challenging. But doing on the ground is actually pretty free, so it means that we're going to be using as many ground detectors as we possibly can during the run.
Yeah, the game does run. We actually require the game to be locked at 60 FPS to level the playing field between different computers. So when Scarfelt says 3 frames apart, it is a 1/60th of a second timing to get the aerial ones. Yeah. And every time you fail, you have to spend energy. So it's an important skill to master.
Energy being the resource in the bottom left, it's now empty at the moment because you can see that Roos doesn't have any energy left because he spent it on using the sentries. So you have to. It's been provided pretty carefully where you can use sentries, where you can refill energy, that kind of thing.
All right, now the next skill to pick up here is Spirit Arc. That is a bow, basically, and the bow does cost energy, but it's going to be the main damage tool of the run once we've gotten a few upgrades for it. For now, it's just used for a couple of puzzles in order to collect some eye stones, which are basically just keystones, but they look cooler.
Funny enough, they're actually coded very closely to eye stones. If you take, sorry, to keystones. If you take these to another area, you actually can use them as keystones.
Oh, you can? That's
yeah.
Great. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, but you can't use keystones as eye stones, unfortunately. Otherwise, we could like skip this.
Yeah, so these eye stones are picked up to open the path forward. Oh yeah, I just noticed it said 3 eye stones.
Yeah, right. That's how I thought. That's how I noticed it to try it out.
That's great.
So if you saw this run at Games Done Quick, shout out, Scarfelt was one of the racers in that Games Done Quick showdown, by the way. You'll notice a difference in the route coming up here very shortly. Scarfelt and Hetfield went for a strategy where they swam through this poison water here. It is incredibly difficult and only saves a few seconds. So they're much more skilled than I am. I'm going to be going for a route where I don't swim through the water. I'm instead going to drain it here. And in exchange for all that safety, it's literally, I think, like 5 seconds. That
yeah, it's like
saved over me here.
maybe not even that. Like, I wasn't gonna go for it, and then Hetfield learned it. I was like, oh, fine, okay, I guess I'll learn it. You know, but yeah, draining the water is like, it's completely fine. You get to do a pretty fun section off to the left as well. So showing that off is cool.
Yeah, so all this stuff you're going to see for the next maybe like 30 to 40 seconds is going to be stuff that you will not have seen in the poison water swim route.
Mm-hmm. And I just love the movement in this section. It feels really smooth when you get it right, and it's just, I don't know, it's great.
You're also not meant to obviously go up there and push the rock down, but that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, the sentry jumps help break a lot of the areas. So that's why we say, you know, main quest order is about doing the quests in the right order and everything and not really skipping any of them, but that doesn't mean that you can't still find lots of skips within the areas themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still like a world of speedruns, so you still don't have a lot of sentry jumps. There are categories that don't use sentry jumps as well, but that's not this one, obviously.
Yeah, pretty much any category that's viably able to get them is going to be using them because they're just such incredibly versatile and powerful movement techniques.
It's worth mentioning as well that because it's a marathon, Roos isn't doing any quick to menus, which normally we do to save in-game time. And that actually changes some things because it'll make certain cycles different. Some things that will reset in the quick to menu won't reset. So Roos actually have to retrain his muscle memory for doing a marathon.
Yeah, so to level the playing field between people with different strength of computers, we go by the in-game time, and the auto splitter for this game sort of like removes your load times, and that ends up making a lot of things faster to quit to menu when you're going by in-game time. But for RTA, they end up being slower.
Yeah. I'm also coming up on our next very important ability. Well, we already have it now, Dash.
Yeah. Dash is really, really good.
Mm.
Okay. Do you want to pause the timer real quick and I can try and fix it? Pausing right now.
All right, so we got a quick little technical difficulties break, folks. We're going to try to fix what's going on with the stream. But it's been a great run so far.
Yeah, it's been really good.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it so far. Okay, what can we do about this? You want me to drop down to 30 FPS maybe?
Let's go!
All right, let's start up again in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so hopefully we've got all that stuff resolved. Can it's going smoothly.
It turns out Ori 2 can be a little bit demanding of a game.
Yeah.
Times.
It's a beautiful game, though. It deserves it. Deserves all the resources.
It's
Very
an absolutely
beautiful
gorgeous game.
Yeah, it's I don't know how they took one of the most beautiful games out there and were like, well, yeah, but let's just turn that up and like make it even more beautiful when they made Ori 2.
It's wild, right? 'Cause every time I see Ori 1 now, I'm like, wow. It's not that I think, wow, this game's so ugly or whatever. I'm so impressed about how much they did for Ori 2, right?
Yeah. So what Roos just did was grab the the quick shot. Wait, was that quick shot or splinter?
That was quick shot, yeah.
Quick shot shard, which is going to be used to upgrade the bow. But then also, you must notice he flew out of there really fast. He's going to do it again right here, and that is called a wave dash. That is the fast movement that Scarfelt was alluding to before, for why Roos picked up regenerate. Turns out if you are up against a wall and you dash at it and change your direction back the other way while also using regenerate, it's this whole weird set of inputs that end up making you go flying across the screen.
Yeah, we're going to be using it to skip an upcoming fight with a boss. We're also meeting the Moki, who are very important. But yeah, this fight with a boss, we're actually just not going to do it until later because it's much quicker to do it when we have our power-ups. So we're just going to basically wave dash over the top of the whole fight.
Yeah, it turns out this boss fight, we are still going to do it, but there's nothing about it that is a quest, really.
Mm-hmm.
So even in main quest order, we can just delay it until later when we're going to be a lot stronger.
Yeah, funnily enough, it doesn't actually count as a percentage at all, so you can skip it in 100%, I'm pretty sure, and just not even...
Really? I didn't know
yeah.
that. That's
I think so.
And now it's time for the Ori 1 skill, the one that everybody remembers. This is Bash.
And we actually didn't see it in the last run either, despite being an Ori run.
Yeah. That's true. So Bash is still how it works in Ori 1, if you're familiar with that. You go flying, you basically grab an enemy or a projectile or a lantern and you launch it in the opposite direction that you launch yourself. And it will refresh your double jump. It'll really help with movement overall in just grand ways.
It's kind of hard to overstate how ridiculously useful Bash is. It's just got an incredible amount of utility in these games. It's fantastic for going fast.
It's also just the most fun thing. Stringing together bashes just feels fantastic. If you haven't played an Ori game, the movement in these games just feels phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Another quick little wave dash here as Roos goes to pick up Splinter, which now that he's got Splinter and Quickshot, he has the two shards we need to make the bow just the most powerful weapon in the game.
Yeah.
And on top of that, having Reckless and later another shard is going to just really help with the damage output.
Yeah, we're going to be
I'm slightly out of energy. Okay.
Oh, really?
Oh,
We're okay. There's a backup.
Good backup.
why did that happen?
I'm not entirely sure. I thought I would be at one full energy there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why you weren't at full.
I know regenerate could be weird with energy count, but I don't think you actually did a full regenerate, did you?
I don't think so, but I suppose it's possible it used like a fractional bit.
Yeah, because regenerate can use between 1 and 1.02 for some reason. So that can mess you up in any percent.
Very odd.
It's possible I held one slightly too long and it actually went off.
Yeah. We're skipping a cutscene meeting Frog Champ. That cutscene is also interesting because if you skip it too early, you actually don't get the spirit light from it. And we didn't actually know this for ages. We just thought the cutscene was bugged and didn't give it the spirit light. So we've been routing in 200 spirit light this whole time. And it's like, nope, you just wait like 1 second to skip the cutscene. You get it.
It's a really good find. That makes the experience routing so much better because
Yeah.
we're shortly going to be coming up to like a central hub area in the game where most of your shopping is going to be done. And we used to actually like come back here, which is very, very slow, like after we'd collected a bunch of experience. But by finding that, we were able to like pare down how much we buy enough that we can only make one trip to this town in the entire game.
While coming into the area, Roos actually is skipping a cutscene by doing those 3 dashes in a very quick cadence there. There's actually just this whole cutscene where you're supposed to be introduced to the Wellspring Glades, and turns out if you barely touch the ground, you can actually just skip right through the trigger.
We also just bought Overcharge and Splinter. Overcharge is a shard. Don't think we actually explain what shards are, but it's pretty apparent. They're just equipable little things you get. Overcharge makes all of your energy costs get halved, but now you take double damage. So pretty much everything in the game now is going to one-shot Roos. That's why he got some safety health cells. And he also upgraded Splinter, so now it will make the bow divide into 4 arrows rather than 3.
Time for an aerial sentry jump if it goes well. That one was being a jerk. Yeah, those aerial sentry jumps, as Scarfo mentioned earlier, are frame perfect in a 60 FPS game, so they're pretty difficult to do.
Yeah, especially even like if you're going for like world record, you don't really go for them very much. It's also a cutscene skip here. We just simply jump up and over the trigger. Like that.
Yeah, very nice being able to just eliminate any slowdown periods. And now we're just going down to open up the door into the wellspring itself because the water is not clean in the world. I don't know how this happened again. Thought we fixed it last time, but it's not clean. Got to fix it up. And is also going to grab this energy on the way out. Actually managed to delay causing this cutscene to start in order to make the cycles nicer. But this is a great time for some donations as Roos heads into the wellspring if you've got a few.
Well, we just happen to have one. We have a $200 donation from Anonymous. So thank you very much. Also with no message.
Thank you.
And I believe that brings us over 24K too.
I think 25K is the next incentive, right?
That's correct.
All right, very cool. Oh, I forgot to mention, I was going to say this at the start, but I'm going to be doing $1 per unintentional death in this run.
Oh boy.
So it could end up being a lot.
Well, and that's I guess we might as well point out that Roos had a donation incentive for this that was met, if I'm not mistaken.
It has been met, yes.
All right, so when we get to the top of the wellspring here and Roos is going to be, cleaning the water, he's actually going to... Nice. You got through there. He's actually going to do the water escape blindfolded. So that should be really fun to watch, and also might contribute to some of those unintentional deaths if things go wrong.
Absolutely might contribute.
Yeah, that stuff looks absolutely impossible. I am not envious of having to do it, but if it goes off well, then you look amazing. So
yeah,
and that's the winner of the GDQ race saying that it looks difficult. So.
Thank you.
All right, now we have the grapple ability. It lets you grapple onto pretty much anything that is a blue node or flower. And even that mossy ceiling. It's really useful for getting around, similar to how Bash is. It will refresh your dash and your double jump, so you can use it even if you don't really care about going where the grapple is. You can still use it for that purpose, which is really great.
It's actually done a lot in the trials, right?
Yeah, it's sometimes like in the Windswept Waste trial in particular.
Yeah, you just do it just to get that spec. We're going to be doing a small little thing with the laser here. Yeah. that like down slash timing is actually a lot harder than it looks. When it was first being discovered, we thought, oh, it's not actually possible, but now you have to just do the down slash pretty much instantly.
All right, this is the first time we're getting locked into a fight room. This is like the third or fourth that's supposed to happen in the game.
Yeah.
But it's the first one that we're seeing. Basically, you're just locked in until you defeat all the enemies, and you can already start to see the power that is Splinter and Quick Shot. It makes the bow fire faster and also split up into multiple projectiles, but have shorter range. So Roos has to kind of put himself in danger at times by staying near enemies and bosses, but as a result is going to be able to deal a lot of extra damage.
Yeah, you can see it like basically just trivialize the enemies in that fight almost completely.
We're coming up to one of the cooler little things rooms in the run. This section here is just making some really cool cycles and getting some spray light while we do it.
Wow.
Unfortunately, it messed up the cycles, but
yeah, but you landed on the laser.
That
was great.
That was intentional, totally intentional. I promise.
Inactive lasers having wall collisions coming in. Yeah, also
Right, yeah.
worth actually remember to like do like a whole puzzle there to rotate the room multiple times, and we just skipped it with the Sentry jump.
You can see Roos is back down to 1 health again. That is just how much damage you take once you have overcharge on. Everything is going to deal double damage, and that but you need the energy basically. Sentry jumps are too useful, bow shots are too useful. You need the halved energy. Roos is going to take a sentry jump and then like a slightly kind of
I'm actually going to
way
do
around,
the slower
right?
one. I only have 1 energy, and I need this for the cutscene
right.
skip of the escape.
Right, sure.
So I'm just going to go up this slow way rather than refilling on the save well.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about the 1 energy. So unfortunately has to kind of walk around here just a little bit with these grapples, but not that big a deal. And now Offer's back. We're going to actually buy one more thing from him, and that is the ability to teleport anywhere, or teleport from anywhere specifically. You can open up the map and teleport to any teleporter that you've unlocked previously without having to be on a teleporter to do it. And now here's where Roos is going to skip a cutscene and then take a moment to actually put on a blindfold, because he's going to do the blindfolded part during the run.
And Tech, if you could deafen me for this part so that commentary can still talk, but I don't get stuff overpowering the sound effects. I'm going to turn the music off for this as well.
And you might be able to do that yourself in the browser window, Roos, if they can't.
Okay, I can also turn it off in voice meter.
All right, so Roos is getting all set up with the blindfold here. And I've seen him do this, and it's still impressive every time. Scarfelt and I are going to try to tell you some of the setups that he's using, but
Right. I'm just going to deafen myself in voice meter real quick. All right, wish me luck.
Good luck.
All right, good
Good
luck,
luck.
Roos.
You lace it.
So this is very difficult. Thank you
I
so
don't
much
have any
everybody who donated.
Yeah, they're like, this is going to be so impressive for sure. Like this, because one of the things about this game is that it's really difficult to normalize things because there are no flat surfaces in the whole game. Well, inbounds anyway. So getting normalized stuff is very difficult because you're likely to, accidentally end up in slightly the wrong position. So here you can see he's actually not holding right. He's just doing straight dashes.
Yeah.
And doing straight slashes there too.
10 dashes in a row and then a full sword swing combo will let him get through there. He turned the music off so you can hear these cues better. Unfortunately, there's 1 death. There's $1 for Roos' donation, but it's really just going to let him kind of then start this more naturally and get kind of in the groove of it. The sword slash is just so that way he doesn't accidentally overshoot that platform, and then has to kind of listen to the wood creaking and wait to know like when he can move to the right. Ooh, that's gonna be close.
I don't think he's gonna realize
he doesn't know
he's
he's
on
on
the
the wall.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was just a little bit too far to the left on that one platform.
Yeah.
I think it was because he dashed off of the pillar, and he normally walks off to the right, but he noticed that he didn't stand on top of it. Let's see if we can go better this time. He's gonna try to stand on top of this pillar and then just walk off to the right. Oh, okay, so he incorporated a dash. I see. All right. So yeah, now he should be good.
And then he's gonna take. Oh no, he does not take this hit. Okay, and he knows where the spikes are coming here as well from a sound cue of like the wood creaking.
How many times the wood is going to like make noises. Also, Ori's footsteps you can hear them when you're moving, and they change based on what surface you're actually walking on. So you can use that to also help them sometimes. The grapples there are I don't know how he just like always knows that timing. It's so great.
Oh, that setup is cool. I hadn't seen that one before.
Yeah, I don't think he had done that until a couple days ago, unless that was just an accidental dash the wrong way.
Yeah. And then he's gonna hold right and just be basically mashing bash, and it'll make him pick up each of the lanterns, and he'll grapple to the last one, I think.
Yeah, that was he's up and over.
Wow.
Great job, Roos. Yeah, so he does a few dashes to the right once he knows he's safe, and wow, good job.
Alrighty, we're back. A little bit of trouble at the start there, but we still got through it.
All good.
Absolutely amazing.
The one was heartbreaking right before the wheel. It was just like you landed on that the wheel in the water. You landed on just a little too far to the left. So then when you dashed to the right in the air, you grabbed the wall instead of landing on the floor. And we were like, oh, he's not going to be able to tell.
I've done that a few times. I thought something was wrong because I couldn't hear my footsteps, but I couldn't tell what. I thought maybe I was too low potentially, but that's a hard one to recover from.
Yeah.
And our reward for seeing that is we get to see the best cutscene in the game.
So solid.
Whoever came up with the idea of putting the Moki in this game, absolute genius. They are so cute.
Have you seen them in the art book? They have like lots of different designs for the Moki, and they were gonna
I don't
have
think
like.
I've seen that. No.
Oh, I could not recommend it enough. It's so good.
All right, well, now that Roos can see again, he's going to be moving pretty quickly here. In fact, wanted to make sure to catch this wheel cycle with the swimming. And then you can actually bash underwater, so he's still going to use that when he can. Wait,
this is an intentional death, by the way, because I had to sentry jump for my blindfolded setups. I have used more energy in that area.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that, yeah. Yeah, also worth noting that you may be thinking, wait, why are we going here and not what the game told us to? So the quest for Luma Pools doesn't actually advance until you reach the boss. So if we just go to Luma Pools and then just don't finish the quest, then we're fine. So we're going to go do that early. So basically we're entering an Act 2 area while still in Act 1.
Yeah, quick wave dash into a midair sentry jump, which you got it when you actually got to.
I know. It's important that you get that one because the save point is pretty far back, and if you run out of energy, you don't really have a very convenient way to refill it, other than just going all the way back to that last save point.
Yeah, and also the less energy you have for here, you can see that Roos only has half the energy left. So you need to have like as much energy as possible to actually finish off this section.
That's the tightest part right there. There is one part that's a little tough coming up, but that section right there is like the scariest as far as energy, I think.
Yeah, for sure, because then you can just get the refill here, yeah.
Alright, my favorite skip in the game is right here. Really care to explain?
Yeah, so Roos basically is sentry jumping up into some spikes to die, and that will immediately trigger a cutscene as if you have completed an underwater puzzle. I still don't think we exactly know why that happens.
I think Tekopar, shout out to Tekopar, he does so much technical work in the game. I think he worked out why it happens. Where basically, whenever you die, the interrelated position of between Ori and the respawn point, or something like that, matches up so that Ori just glides very quickly over, like, the... I'm pointing at my screen for some reason. Just, like, glides over the cutscene trigger.
Interesting.
Something like that. I might have got it completely wrong, but it's something. I know it's to do with the intercalated position of Ori. Well, so very confusing.
Doing that skip and then reloading the game also made it so that he didn't have to do a fight room back there. Was able to just sail through an open door. Weirdly, that door is just always closed on this patch unless you reload after doing that skip. It's a little odd, but it means that we can avoid some fighting, which is kind of slow. Yeah, mid-air sentry jump again. Good job, Roos, to
oh, that was so good.
Quicker.
Yeah, that was really clean. How have the frame drops been, by the way?
It seems good at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Every now and then, in like a very frame rate heavy area like Luma Pools,
okay, so I said that and it immediately like started doing stuff. But...
Oh no, I promise if I could get a better GPU, I absolutely would.
It's okay. I understand. This game is like that.
I'm seeing encoder overload on OBS. We can pause again if we need to mess with anything.
being a little odd. You're almost out of Luma Pools, though, and it's probably going to be okay out of Luma Pools, I think. Now, Roos just picked up Swim Dash, which is the main reason that we ended up coming here doing all this Luma Pool stuff without fighting the boss here, before, like, more of the game that you're supposed to do. This Swim Dash just really speeds up all the swimming, and there's a swimming section coming up that's not even that long, and yet having Swim Dash is still going to save like 12 seconds or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
And it's always so surprising just how much time it saves. Also, we're gonna actually fight a boss now. He's kind of gonna be a joke, but
Yeah.
he's still a boss. So it's the one that we skipped earlier called Thornbug.
Now you're going to really get to see how powerful the bow is, because we're actually fighting something with a substantial health pool now.
Yeah.
Also, I approve of taking out the minions before fighting the boss. They're so obnoxious if you don't.
Yeah, I think that like pretty much everyone does because it's just so annoying otherwise.
Yeah.
We're also not meant to have a loadout this good by the time we get here, which is why he is just exploding.
See a nerd.
Just how quickly that boss's health bar gets melted.
Also, I would like to point out we have not done like any damage upgrades. None of our shards make us do more raw damage. That's just like how powerful this loadout is on its own.
Yeah, the only shard we have for damage upgrades is Reckless, and I believe that's not equipped right now. So.
That is not on currently.
Yeah, we have Overcharge on because we'd run out of energy using the bow otherwise. So we're coming up towards another cutscene, and then the swimming section we talked about, which even though it's that short, still saves so much time. Mm-hmm. And then we're coming up to Silent Woods, which is very cool. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, another fun thing that Roos is doing here and there is whenever he has a long sequence of dashes, he's actually, you might notice the sword showing up every now and then. He's actually canceling the end of his dash with a sword and then dashing back out of it again. It allows you to just do your dashes a little bit faster.
Yeah, there's actually like a lot of animation cancel stuff in this game, which is really cool. You can like cancel dash into X, which then lets you do other things. Like so for jumps, for like slashing your sword, it's actually quicker to do like attack, then jump, then attack, and so on and so forth. This
You're wondering why I'm in the air during this? It's because I tried to skip this cutscene, but you get the like width of where you can go to skip it is actually like very narrow. And so I was just a little too far to the right and got pulled into it.
It's actually like a much more difficult step than it looks, for sure.
And now coming up over top to do another wave dash to fly across the screen. Always great.
And then the cycles here for the bubbles are very consistent if you come in at the right time, but I'm not sure if they will be now because that seems fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, the movement was a little scuffed, but it ended up being just fine.
Yeah.
The Sentry jumpster. Okay, there's a good one. I was like, they're not playing nice for you recently, but that one was good.
They've been pretty good for most of the run, but there were a few low ones there for sure.
Anytime you see Roos jump in a seemingly meaningless area like that, it's probably for skipping a cutscene or a slowdown, and that area just makes you walk for a little bit, so that's why Roos jumped up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have extra energy to burn there. There's no reason not to just go up and over that little slow zone.
Roos, do you want to try and explain like what the difference between this and other runs people might have seen?
Sure. So we are currently running on the most recent patch, 1.3. If you watch the GDQ race, you may have seen the runners not actually watch this cutscene, and you can see it's very, very long. The skip does not work on this particular patch. On the other patch, you like skip over this and you go do some stuff as Ori where you're much faster, and then you come back and you skip this cutscene, and you still fulfill the main quest requirement, which we're getting right now. But on this patch, we just have to go straight onto it and watch the cutscene, so it is a bit slower, unfortunately.
Yeah, but fortunately we get to see Ori hugging Q, so I mean, really, who could say which is better?
I mean, I can say which is better. Ori hugging Q.
It's very cute. Yeah, now we're on Q.
Yeah. What exactly does
slow.
that kind of entail, Scarfell?
So Q is very slow. Q is also some slightly different mechanics as well, but for the most part, just Q is very slow. She can float, as you can see. We can float on these little updrafts. She can use her feather to make those updrafts, which are only going to do once. And we can also fire the bow while on here. And this is something we actually voted on, because it's pretty easy to skip this using speedrun tech. But we voted to keep this in the run anyway, because it's a pretty big identifiable part of the game, right? To be doing this section on Q. And it's a nice relaxing part of the run as well, and it's cute, and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty much like the time where you take a breather.
Yeah. Roos took an intentional death there, by the way, because it causes the doors to be open. I don't know if they did it because of the speedrunning community or not, but in Ori 1, there's a trick called ghost dooring, where there are ghost doors where you can just fly straight through doors after dying, and they kind of made it even better. And Roos, I have a feeling, went for a thing that we haven't quite seen yet, and unfortunately, it didn't sound like it went very well.
Yeah, so
I appreciate you trying.
Yeah, so that swag strat is of like going underneath the thing. Yeah, that swag shot going underneath the thing is actually like, it saves 0 frames. However, it looks really cool. It's also much harder than it looks. Like,
yeah, it's
so actually really precise.
Yeah, if you jump too early, you just bonk ahead the roof on top of you and go into the instant death goo. If you jump too late, you just go into the instant death goo. So, I mean, why not do it for the 0 frames, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Always worth it. It's so great.
We're coming up another cutscene skip as well here. Are you going for the cutscene skip, Bruce?
I'm not on 1.3 RTA just because like the quit to menu takes longer than just watching this cutscene.
Oh, I mean like the one after it, like the.
Oh, I mean, if I can get it, sure, but I'm not holding out hope.
But yeah, I realized maybe I shouldn't bring it up because it's really, really difficult.
Yeah, you can actually skip that part.
Actually, might be it, right? Oh no.
It was close. If your movement is like flawless through that section, you can get ahead of that cutscene trigger spawning. But I mean, it's incredibly, incredibly difficult.
Yeah, so I accidentally did it in a run once, and Reese and I spent like an hour each trying to recreate it and couldn't get it to work once. Like we did, and we had like a stream clip to look at to try and get it to work, and we still couldn't get it. So it's really difficult for sure.
I like the humble brag there. It's like, yeah, I accidentally got flawless.
No. I didn't mean to. I don't know how it happened the first time accidentally.
Oh man. Well, now that Roos has gotten to that cutscene trigger there, he's completed the section with Ku, unfortunately. Although fortunately for the speedrun. Right now, Roos can only double jump. We call it sad little double jumps, pretty much. And is trying to go find Ku, but soon we'll be back to the fast movement that you know and love with the dashing and bashing and all the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually probably a decent time for plugging donations with a charity or something if you want to jump in.
Absolutely, we do have a couple of donations. I did ask for $5 donations in chat, and we've got 2. One apparently came from me. I don't remember doing it, but it says testing 1 2 1 2. And the other one is from $5 that says, here's $5.
Thank you. And now you can see the teleport anywhere in use. We saw it a little bit coming out of Luma Pools earlier as well. But Roos is heading back to the Wellspring, and that's because this is actually the closest location to Bowers Reach, which is the next target. Because the game opens up here and it just says, hey, you need to go collect these wisps. But you can do them in pretty much any order. There's 3 wisps there's 4 really that we're gonna get, but like there's 3 that are kind of in a choosable order. And Bowers Reach is the first one. Each one gives you an extra energy cell and health cell, and that often is the determining factor for what order you do them in. So in this case, Roos is kind of trying to get as strong as possible for, I believe, Mora, right?
Correct. Because we'll do Mora last, I'll have gained 2 extra health for that, which buys me an extra safety hit in that fight.
Yeah, Mora is probably the most challenging boss in the game in the speedrun. So having more energy for that and more health means as we said, you get an extra hit, but also you get more arrow shots in.
Mm-hmm. So Bowers Reach, we are going to do very little of compared to what you're supposed to do. You normally get the grenade skill here, but it turns out that you can actually use the explosion from the Sentry butterfly to act as a lighting mechanism in the same way that grenade does. So you're going to see Roos do that pretty soon over here, just to light this lantern, or sorry, Yeah, you are going to light the lantern with it, right? Or are you just going to straight up?
To break
Not
the
this
ice logger first.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you break it.
You can just do that, yeah. This skip is like...
That might be too far to the left. Let's see.
The skip is
Nope,
very
it worked.
strange. In that, like, sometimes
Oh, it's too early! No!
No! So sometimes it's, like, extremely generous, and sometimes it's like, no, screw you. Like, it's actually going to be awful.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, so Roos needed to go over that snowball, but went a little bit too early. And that snowball is a one-shot, so...
Yeah. Wow, this branch is so uncooperative right now.
Yeah, you can see this. Normally you're supposed to hit that ice section with grenade, but you just hit it with the Sentry explosion instead.
It's very easy to forget that Sentry actually does damage as well. We pretty much use it for everything except damage in this run.
Oh,
I was a little confused by that death. I was wondering when it was going to catch up there.
Yeah. We're actually coming up to another combat arena. And this is one of the first like major ones, I'd say. 'Cause everything before this is a bit, it's kind of just simple. This one's a bit more difficult.
yeah, this is actually why I was getting mixed up on the lantern earlier. I was thinking about getting the keystone, but that's here. So that's actually
Yeah.
yeah, so bow usage once again, and it turns out with bash you can actually ignore these shields by just bashing through the enemies, and then taking care of the little like wasps first is really nice. 'Cause it just means that they're not going to be a problem while you're trying to deal with the beetle.
Yeah.
This beetle did not hit the wall, unfortunately, so we said to let it kind of bounce around a couple more times. Now it's pretty much one hit away.
Yeah, and bashing through these guys is very convenient. But one thing that's kind of weird is that enemies don't actually aggro on you as soon as they spawn into the arena. They have to be within a certain range, which means that sometimes we can just like finish off one enemy while the other enemy's just going, "Where's Ori? I don't know." You know?
Yeah. And so we're just going to drop down here for a moment, down to where there is a spirit trial, the kind of little IL mini games almost in the game. And the main reason is just to grab one keystone because it'll speed things up later.
You know, Hobbs is actually very, very good at the trials.
At one trial in particular, I'm
So, like,
okay.
No, that's not true. After watching, I was like, let me try this, and I couldn't even get close to your time. It's so hard.
Yeah, well, Alexa is better, so I gotta keep working.
Like a true speedrun, it's like, I'm not literally best in the world. I'm okay. We're going to a really major skip. Actually, we should be talking about that instead. Where we're gonna go up and over this cutscene, raising some mid-air sentries and stuff.
I was about to take overcharge off, but I'm at 1 HP anyway, so it does not matter.
Oh, nicely done. So the thing that's really difficult about that skip is that if you go too high, you actually hit like a void out zone, which puts you back to your previous save, basically. So you actually have to dash early to interrupt yourself before you hit that, which makes it very difficult, as well as hitting the aerial sentry. So good job to Rois getting it, well, first time properly, you know.
And for every aerial sentry jump that you do, you only get 3 shots at it because you can only have 3 sentries out at a time. And after that, you have to land back on the ground, and it's often you are out of energy by that point.
Yeah.
Roos is just blowing right through this escape, though, doing very well, sitting at 1 health, cannot get hit by anything.
I took it slightly safe on a few spots because it's very costly to take a death there.
Yeah,
if you die there, you actually go back to before the cutscene skip because we never actually got the save trigger, which is so much time lost. So taking a save makes total sense.
And now that we're done with Bowers Reach, I'm going to go back to Luma Pools to finally finish off that area and defeat Quallock. Because, again, we did everything except the boss earlier because it's just way faster to wait until you're a little stronger to do the boss. It would actually be a lot harder doing it then. And that would kind of break the rules of the main quest order category.
Yeah. Alright, going for a little cutscene skip there didn't quite work out, but it's fine.
If you land in just the right spot, you can actually stack that cutscene where you talk to the Mokis and this one right here. So you basically like subtract the time of the Moki cutscene. But yeah, just didn't quite get over it. But it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah. And this is the frog that we've pretty much skipped talking to at every point we can on the run. But he's meant to be a very good friend of ours, so him being evil is very sad.
Yeah, being possessed by this squid creature thing.
Yeah, this is the thing from the water escape. We did not actually die earlier, if you watch the cutscene carefully.
So I think Mora is the most difficult fight, but in a lot of ways this is actually the most punishing because Mora comes with some built-in checkpoints during the fight. Quolok does not. So if I do take a death, you basically have to redo the entire thing.
Yeah.
And here on the current patch of the game, there's not really any rubber banding with Quolok, or at least it's severely reduced. So Roos is going through here as fast as possible, but he's going to have to wait for Quolok to catch up before he can start fighting him. And then on top of that, Quolok kind of does a little like belly dance animation thing at the beginning where he's, you know, yelling at you, and he's not actually vulnerable. So just seeing Roos sit there, he's going to throw a few sentries to help out with the damage just a little bit. But mostly it's going to be all about the bow here and occasionally some sword swings here and there. Roos is also going to grab the energy when he needs to. He can perform a little trick if he gets really low on energy to use Splinter on an energy cell in order to get like way more energy back. It might not come up in this fight in particular, but it could.
That was pretty good by Roos to answer that, because the belly slam attack is one you really don't want to see, because it interrupts the middle of the arena, which makes it very awkward to position yourself.
Alright, down to 2 health. This boss is pretty easy to die on, especially because you really need overcharge. Oh, the attacks here that it's using are like some of the hardest to dodge.
Yeah, that
Again,
one
took a lot of that slow, but I just really did not want to die there.
Yeah, that's fair. Good. That's a really difficult fight whenever you're low on health for sure. Because like the attack that he gave, it actually lingers in the water, so it may have looked like Roos's movement was a bit odd, but it's like if he touched the water, he actually would have died like instantly to like the little black sludge stuff.
Yeah, and then he reloaded the game after because it just skips the death cutscene.
Yeah.
And then we're into another cutscene here for Quolok, and this is a good time if the host would like to chime back in with anything about the marathon or donations or charity or anything like that.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. We have one $15 donation from Ivuki saying, "Hi Roos and other Ori friends, greetings from Germany."
What's up, Ivuki?
Well, we've got a quick second. How's the frames looking?
They're a little rough here and there in Luma Pools, but it's been like fine everywhere else.
Okay,
so.
Luma Pools is like one of the worst spots, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. It's done now, though. So
you're done here, though. The next place we're going to, you can't see anything, so it should be nice and easy on the screen.
That's true.
Do it old N64 style, no draw distance.
Yeah, the next area is pretty interesting because I think it's one of the longest, most involved areas in the game casually. It involves a lot of, keeping track of a pretty complicated environment and using these little butterflies to help you feel the light or whatever. And we're going to finish it ideally in like 60 seconds. So, it's a really cool area. So
yeah, it's my personal favorite area, both casually and for the speedrun. It's just a really, really interesting area to do, and it's by far the most broken in the speedrun.
I think what's really interesting about doing lots of speedruns is you often forget how good some of the level design is, right? Like, yeah. I went back and just looked at Moldwood properly recently. I was like, wow, this area is actually like really, really good. You know, it's so easy to forget how you're meant to do things. You speedrun enough.
So, Roos does have to head over there. It's actually back where we got the Splinter Shard really early on, if anybody, was remembering where we got that.
Yeah, it may look familiar to you.
Yeah, but the kind of door to Moldwood wasn't open at the time. So, as we alluded to, this area is very dark, and the darkness actually encroaches on you and will kill you if you are in it for too long. However, it turns out that if you use... There's a lot of spots that you stand next to in order to, kind of repeal the darkness for a little bit. But it turns out if you use the bow, it actually counts as a light source for that same purpose. So you can reset the timer on the darkness whenever you want, as long as you have enough energy to use the bow, and Roos has plenty of energy at this point. Sitting already at 1 health is not great. His mold can be a little scary, but it'll be fine.
Also, with noting Moldwood spikes do more damage than everywhere else, because of course it does.
I would like to point out the strangeness of, like, well, I guess it's because we've done the water mill, but I always expect the water in Moldwood to damage me, but then it just doesn't.
Yeah, I actually thought you were about to die there. I'm so not used to landing in that.
And this one's a pretty interesting one, because we're going to go up and do this whole long thing, and Reese is just going to literally just walk across real quick, like that. Or glide across, I should say.
Yeah, you do have to have a pretty good, like, map in your head of how this area is laid out, though, to do this in the dark. So it does take a little bit of time to kind of get down. But we're just going to grab the 2 keystones here in order to open the door. Also, only needed to grab 1 keystone for the previous door. Or sorry, you grab those for later, not for that door. But
yeah,
you only needed 1 keystone earlier because the other one would have been really slow, and that's why we got 1 in Bower's Reach.
Yeah. And there we go. That's Moldwood done.
Yeah, I love when that area goes well. It's just so fast.
Yeah, that looks really good. Good job.
Thank you.
So straight into the cutscene for the Moldwood boss fight with Mora. And as we were talking about before, Mora's kind of a really hard boss in the speedrun. You do thankfully get a health and energy refill when you go into this cutscene, so that's nice. The strategy is going to be pretty similar, using a lot of bow shots with the quick shot and splinter here. But Mora does have 3 different phases to her, and Roos can potentially take like an intentional death here or there after he's hit a checkpoint if he decides that he's too low on energy or doesn't like the attack she's using. The main thing is we don't want to see Mora summon little spiderlings because they'll stay on the ground, and your bow, you want to be staying on the ground as much as possible to fire it. You actually can fire it in the air, but you'll drop out of the air pretty quickly, and so it's a lot slower doing it that way.
Reese is also staying on her right-hand side right now because she has an attack where she walks all the way over to the left, which we want to avoid if we can.
Very nice first couple of phases, yeah. Or sorry, yeah, phase 1. I don't know why I said first couple. I almost think of that breaking of the wall
I was going to say, it's like
phase.
It's basically a different phase. Her attacks do change after all.
But now that he finished off the first part, he's got this little mini phase of, kind of the mini escape. And then you saw right there, he got all of his energy back off of 1 crystal, and that's by using a bow shot with it with Splinter. There's some weird mechanic where it gives you much more energy than you're supposed to get, and it helps out a lot. So far, Mora's being pretty cooperative. She's doing some of the, like, shockwave attacks, which are not ideal, but they're a lot better than getting the little babies. And now this is where she actually makes it dark, and so if he weren't using the bow constantly or near one of the little trapped bees, he would die based on a darkness timer. But
it was nice enough to not summon the spiderlings.
Yeah,
that was a really good Mora fight.
Thank you. The only really unfortunate part is in the second half. I thought I was on the right-hand side of her the whole time, but she's still charged to the left, so maybe I was a little too far left at some point. And
yeah, there was like one tiny point. I think you're a bit too far to the left, but like it's so small. Like that attack is like really difficult to play around properly because it sometimes just doesn't cooperate. This is a nice example of dash slashing as well.
Yes, this is always the point where I would like be happy or sad with how well I was doing dash slashing in a run. Just a lot in a row. But that leads us to a really big skip called the feeding ground skip. So Roos is trying very hard not to touch the ground here. There's a
come on, Ariel.
We'll start there's also a like cat and mouse section where Roos can potentially die. Those aerial sentry jumps were not being nice, but hey, enough energy will get you anywhere you want to go in this game. And Roos got there. So wow, that was really close. But
I know. So many failed aerial sentry jumps.
There's some parts of that ceiling which count as floor, and I was so worried you're going to just rush against one of them.
Me too.
But no, you're fine. That's kids.
So that was great. Yeah, so Roos skipped over both the cutscene and a big like little cat and mouse section thing that would have been a lot slower. So nice to not have to deal with either of those. There's ways where you can do that where you like kind of delay the cutscene so that you don't really have to do the cat and mouse thing, but you still see it. But making it so you don't touch the ground at all is a little harder, but also faster.
Yeah, that's also one of the biggest skips in the whole game. If you're feeling like you feel like finishing Ori in 30 minutes, then you can just do that skip, and it doesn't mean you have to get any wisps. You can just skip all the wisps in the game and just go straight to Willow's End.
Yeah. And now we're
Hobbs, correct me if I'm mistaken, but this is your favorite area of the run in the game, right?
I was absolutely going to say. Favorite area of the game here, Windswept Waste for me, and I do love the burrow dash. I'm guessing Roos doesn't love the burrow dash quite as much because it's a little harder to control on keyboard and mouse than on controller. And as
despite that, I still really enjoy this area. It's just really, really beautiful. The mechanics are good, and like the way that the soundtrack has sort of like warped the Ori themes into this very like deserty sounding feel is just so good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
Something I really like about the soundtrack in this game as well is that you get like different, like it changes once you reach a certain point in the level, right? I think that's really cool. Mm-hmm. Like in this level, after you reach the Keystone Door, the song will change.
And that door right there is why Roos picked up the pretty fast keystones in Moldwood. The keystones there in Windswept Waste aren't even that slow, like especially one of them. But it's still better to just get the Moldwood ones. Now we got to bait these little missiles. That one was being a jerk. And they open these purple doors.
My commentators taught me that strat literally last night.
Stand up here, yeah.
Perfect. And Hobbs taught it to me 2 months ago, so I mean, it's basically Hobbs did everything.
Windswept Waste was somewhere that I really liked figuring out, because there used to be routes of this category where you would go to Windswept Waste early, because there's a lot of really big Spirit Light containers here. And you can also pick up some extra health and energy if you want. But it turns out it's just not really worth it.
Yeah,
it's not really faster.
It's a shame. It's a really fun area for sure. We're coming towards the end of it now, though. We're going to do a damage tank through this laser and then head up towards...
My encoder is having a lot of trouble here.
I think we lost the feed.
Yeah, it seems to have frozen for now.
At the moment.
We should be out of this area very shortly. I always have a lot of performance issues in that particular spot, so... Once we're out of here, it should be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully it catches back up here in a moment.
I can kind of tell you where you are based on the sound.
Yeah, we've entered the door now.
Oh, wait, really? Okay, never mind, I can't.
Yeah, our sound's a little behind. We might need tech to kind of like refresh the feed or something.
I can also pause again if we need to.
I could see you entering now, so that's good.
I'm not showing any encoding overload anymore, so maybe a refresh will bring it back.
Yeah, I'm trying to refresh right now. Okay, yeah, I'm good on my end. I mean, it's just as well it happened at this point of the run where basically nothing is happening.
Yeah, this is one of the bigger downtime sections. We just kind of have to get these lore dumps, and you just have to get through it. And then there's actually a fairly long cutscene afterwards as well. So it's like about 3 minutes of not a lot going on, but it's made up for by like the entire rest of the speedrun being very intense.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the point in the run which gives you just enough time to, reflect on all the sins of your life and whether you deserve this PB. I love that strat you do for the sound. It's really cool.
Oh, with what you do, the 2 burrows through the those ones. Yeah, I like that a lot.
So I assume you don't go. Yeah, the last tablet can be skipped, but it's basically RNG. So
I actually didn't know it could be skipped.
You can skip it, but unless you get a very specific version of it, where you don't have to quit to menu, it doesn't actually save any RTA time. Only time.
Yeah, it's like you can wave dash through the cutscene trigger, and if you happen to get a frame drop in the exact moment you hit it, then you don't have to do a quit to menu.
So now that we're in the cutscene before the Windtorn Ruins escape, this is probably another good chance to learn more about the charity or about the NoReset Marathon in general.
Absolutely. Remember, all donations are going towards a charity that aims to promote the education and development of children with intellectual disabilities, helping them with smart home stuff and things like that. And we do have one $100 donation from Anonymous, so thank you for that.
Very cool. That's a neat charity. I'm definitely glad donations are going that way.
That's really good to hear.
All right, so this cutscene is almost over, and then we will be going on to definitely one of the parts I think people struggle with the most casually, I would say.
Yeah, it's the easy escape in the entire game. Free every time for a speedrun. Absolutely no mistakes could possibly be made in this one.
Are you lying to me? Are you lying to the whole chat?
Hey, I think it's fine. It's great.
Okay, no worries.
I know Roos is going to do fantastic here and have no problems whatsoever. Just like when we did this race for the GDQ Hotfix show.
Oh yeah, that's one of the first things I watched for this game, actually. Learning the category and stuff.
Oh, wow.
This is a decent little chance to talk about differences in input methods. Does one of you want to talk about that?
Yeah. We both play on controller, right, Hubs?
Yeah.
So whenever you're burrowing on controller, you can just use the analog stick and go in like any direction. Whereas on keyboards, you can only go in the 8 cardinal directions from WASD. So you think that that means controller's just better, right? But keyboard has other advantages. There's actually a very new trick that only just got discovered recently that is keyboard only. And also keyboard and mouse can aim better with bash and an upcoming ability called launch. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of you can choose what you want based on preference, basically.
Yeah, it's a lot more minor of a difference between the two input methods in this game compared to Ori 1.
Mm-hmm. So with that new trick being keyboard exclusive, maybe that will change. Dun, dun, dun.
Right.
That might tilt it very slightly, although it's only applicable in a couple of spots.
Yeah,
so...
it's like literally it probably saves a second to
the
run. So
yeah, but
if you're interested in running this game, for sure. If you want to play this game though, like don't let either input method dissuade you. Just play the one you feel more comfortable with.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Scarfield has world record and won the GDQ race and is on controller, so like it's totally viable.
Thank you. Yeah. Also, if you're interested in this category and you think this all looks very difficult or whatever, there's also more beginner-friendly routes you can do as well, including having full invincibility for the boss fights if you're struggling with those. So it's definitely not super difficult to get into.
Yeah, and I think like not only is there a lot of good resources for picking up Ori 2, but like this category in particular, I think is especially beginner-friendly because you don't have like a lot of technical out-of-bounds and stuff. It's just kind of playing the game, but like well and fast.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically just playing the game fast, right? Which is, I think, the main appeal of the category. It's just kind of for you to play through, but done in an hour and a bit.
So now that Roos has collected all the wisps, he's going to be heading to Willow's End, which is the final dungeon of the game. It's basically like Mount Horu in Ori 1, except unlike Mount Horu, we can't skip the entire... Well, actually, you kind of can, but not in this category. We can.
Yeah.
Before that, he's got this little elevator, but go ahead, Scarfield.
I was going to say, it's also worth mentioning, this is pretty much the whole reason that main quest order has to be called that, because there's nothing stopping us from just going here super early and just picking up the abilities and doing that for the rest of the game. Well, there actually is a category for that called All Challenges, but main quest order specifically, you can't come here until you have all the wisps.
So this little elevator fight can be kind of obnoxious at times. There's certain... You want to defeat the enemies as quickly as possible, obviously, but that will kind of speed up the elevator. They spawn at various points on it. And there are some shield enemies, and that one just didn't want to finish his turnaround for some reason. So it can be kind of obnoxious with just the bow, but thankfully the bashing through them trick still works pretty well.
Really uncooperative on the energy drops there, too.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, that second enemy, he, like, whips his attack into the wall every time. I have never seen it connect before.
I also have never actually seen that grenade physically hit me before.
Yeah, I was so surprised.
Never happened before.
That's the American special.
Some fancy movement here over to the final skill tree launch.
Did you ever mention bash gliding?
I don't know if we did.
That's the last one anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's kind of more minor in this.
Yeah,
game.
sure.
So, but launch is you basically can just bash off of nothing now, just in midair. That's kind of a good way to think about how it works. There's also some really new tech. You're going to see the weapon wheel come up a lot because there are these things called launch swaps that let you get a lot more, distance out of your launch.
Yeah, it basically you start your launch and then immediately swap something else onto the button launch was on, and it ends up giving you quite a bit more distance. So you'll be seeing that come up a good bit. My absolute favorite extended launch swap in the game is as soon as we come in here. Enjoy.
It's so cool. This is the thing also I said was keyboard exclusive, but you can do a very similar thing in controller. You can still do this trick in controller, just it doesn't go quite as far. Because whenever you do a backflip, for some reason you get lots more momentum off this.
It's so weird, but it's so great. Look at it.
Yeah,
go flying
so far. It also means that this heart on the left is now quicker to go to first. Historically, it's always been the one on the right, but we're doing this one on the left first, which completely changes how you enter the one on the left and all that. So it's pretty cool.
Oh boy! Whoops! Oh, it's fine. There's a save right here. This entire area is very dangerous. Being the end game dungeon stuff here does a ton of damage, so it's really easy to die if you take like even a slight misstep.
Yeah. I'm guessing you took off overcharge right before the elevator.
Yes, I have reckless on.
Yeah. So one of the reasons for that is just because everything does so much damage here. Having double damage sounds like a terrible idea, and you don't need the energy quite as much for right now because launch will just be the main method to get a lot of height instead of having to rely on sentry jumps anymore.
You need a little stuff there as well with that boulder.
Yeah, just activate the boulder but then dash right underneath it before it lands on you so that way you don't have to run away from it. The kind of concept of Willow's End here is that there are these corrupted hearts on each side. There's, I think, 8 of them total. And you just got to go defeat all of the corrupted hearts. If this were an out-of-bounds category, you could actually just skip most of them by going out of bounds. But because this is an in-bounds category, we can't do that.
Got a trash launch there, unfortunately.
This skip was that's coming up with here is really cool. Basically, you're meant to do this little puzzle by redirecting a pile of bash projectiles, but on the right hand side. But we're not getting that on the right hand side at all. We could use this one on the left.
I thought the second one looked fine, and then it went off at a really strange angle. So
right.
I'm not too upset about that one, but we got a third try after that.
Yeah, that one was weird. That made it look like you were playing on controller or something for a second.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say I didn't know that could happen on keyboard.
I wonder if like launch can redirect them, kind of like Charge Dash does in Ori 1 or something, and maybe you did the launch too close. I really don't know what happened there.
I don't know if that's possible.
Like it shouldn't happen, but like maybe. Regardless, you just gotta keep moving through each of these heart rooms. I always love this one. But now Rois is trying to do it with the launch swap, so
stuff got a little hairy there. The launch swap was so new that some of the muscle memory is not quite completely in there, but we got out of there.
Yeah, it was less than a week old, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's just over a week old at this point.
Right, yeah. Also, the music sometimes turns off in this area. Don't know why.
That's what happened. Okay, I forgot that could happen. So I was just like, why does this feel weird? It's like, oh, the music's not working.
Very weird. I think that got patched out, and it got patched back in somehow.
Oh, jeez.
Patches in this game do strange things, but I mean, that's how, whenever you're breaking a game, right, some really small things end up happening that you don't really expect.
I told myself, remember to swap bow back on instead of regen before this heart the entire time I was doing this run, and then I forgot to do it.
Oh no! Yeah, because we use a wave dash field over here, so we stop off low.
See, clearly the trick is to just swap off sword.
That's actually probably a better idea.
That's true, actually. You don't use sword for
Oh no!
Couldn't let them draw.
Yeah, Rois was trying to weave his way through that section, but unfortunately got killed by the spikes there.
This is a really challenging boss come up, so Rois might have to focus for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely intense, difficult boss. He might actually have to move if things go poorly.
There. Guess the dash.
I did move once. Unfortunately, I should have moved I should have gone ahead and like done the second move, like a pixel to the right. But you know, I was just too lazy.
Yeah, again, on other categories, on other difficulties, whatever, that's an actual fight. On NQO, it's not. We just shoot the bow up.
Yeah, the bow will just take care of so much of the armor that it really is just not a problem. One of the other... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that in this patch of the game, you usually don't keep your momentum going through portals if you launch, but by doing the launch swap you do, which is why he's doing a few of them between portals and stuff.
And I was going to say, one of the other things that Roos is doing during all of these movement sections is a lot of the times he will still do the same inputs for a Sentry jump, like before, where you do the upswing with the sword, but instead of using the Sentry with it, he's using launch with it, and it just lets you get a lot higher with the launch than if you just did it straight from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of is like a faster way to do it, I feel like, too, than if you just did a regular launch.
Yeah, launch like is just so powerful, it basically completely invalidates Sentry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a better strat for that. Just launch up through their damage tank. Yeah, we're coming up. This is the final heart now, which is pretty much all cycle based. But it's one of those things because the launch top strats are pretty new. We're not really sure on what the fastest way to get this cycle is at the moment. So that was obviously fine there. And that's the last one there.
All right.
Very nearly done here.
Yeah, just the final boss remains and a little bit of movement to it. The final boss has multiple phases in it and also has an escape sequence in it, just like Mora did. Actually, just like Qualok did as well, and how a lot of the bosses have escape sequences in them.
So the lack of music is so ominous.
It's so like jarring. Yeah,
right,
it's weird.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel uncomfortable. Oh man, that little rock, if you find a perfect angle on that, that'll just get you
I messed up my movement in that last section there. You can just go straight up, which is so cool, and it works.
Right, here's the final boss Shriek.
Yeah, if you're worried about his health and stuff, don't worry. Again, you do get a full health and energy refill on the start of the boss. And now, lot of bow shots. We're not going to be too concerned on the first phase because the patterns are consistent, as far as I know, at least the opening attacks.
Yeah.
She almost always does the same set, but she actually did one different one there, which is unusual.
Weird. But now Roos is going to have to do the little mini escape sequence and can do both the launch swaps and also if he launches pretty parallel to the ground while on the ground or very close to the ground, you can also get like a lot of extra speed. It may come up or you might just launch swap everywhere instead because it's a little bit nicer to do, a little bit easier.
This launch swap is so funny. You're so far!
I aim a little too high and like totally lift right into the wall instead. It's amazing.
That's
Go
great.
for like a whole section of the thing. That's sick.
And now taking off Reckless and switching back to Overcharge for this last phase, or for this last platform. There's 2 phases here. Ooh, I like that, just tanking it with Regenerate.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of RNG involved in this fight. There's a few attacks she can give you where you can't actually hit her. Roos has naturally got 2 in a row.
Yeah.
This one's quite nice though.
Yeah, gonna be a lot of sword hits here instead of the bow because you will drop very quickly out of the air with the bow and Shriek stays in the air during that one. But the sword still does pretty good damage. And this is a good move where she's screaming that lets you just like murder the bit rate with your bow shots. And then, oh man, really?
Yeah, this is the most time-consuming one. The other ones are about 5 seconds. This one's about 8 or 9. So getting that twice one fight is just lovely.
And it varies by how much you have to bash off the things too, because each of those is like half a second.
This one's also nice because destroying the ground is actually better.
No, that's catastrophic. No, well, you get ready for pain when the stream delay catches up.
Oh no, I know what's gonna happen. Yeah.
No.
That's awful.
So Roos had done enough damage to push Shriek into the 3rd phase, but unfortunately because of where that laser was, he died before Shriek fully moved into the phase where he would have gotten a checkpoint. But the reason Roos did that intentionally was so that he could just show you what it looks like when you get good RNG, and I should have stopped talking because it didn't happen.
I know, it's good to say, like, you gotta go into that RNG too.
I was really hoping you would at least then get like a perfect phase 2 after RNG was, but nope.
Yeah.
Shriek's just every now and then Shriek's gonna shriek, and that's what happens.
You're doing as well. Launch has iframes, so Reach just tanked that whole attack with the invincibility. Also,
That ground slam one is another really good one. Like anytime Shriek slams the ground, it's pretty much a good attack.
Yeah. It's also like you can tell what attack she's gonna do before she does it, except this one, the scream attack. That one's you can't actually tell. The other ones you can tell based on the sound cue and also where the camera pans to.
Oh wow. So then Roos did actually take an intentional death there after transitioning to the third phase because it would refill some of his energy and health. Then actually just using Regenerate to top himself back off, and could stand over on the right side of this platform here to avoid every attack from Shriek for a while. And as Scarfelt was talking about earlier, when Shriek breaks the ground, it actually can speed up this third phase slightly because she doesn't have to jump on as many parts of the platform to get rid of it. And now there is no ground. You just have to float in the air, but Roos should be able to finish off with some bow shots and potentially some sword swings. Hopefully finish off Shriek before she moves, and great job.
All right, so I just wanted to show off all of her full range of moves because she's a very, very cool boss. Like I have a hard time deciding between Mora and Shriek which one is my favorite. They're both just like phenomenal bosses. I got to say maybe Shriek for just like the incredible aesthetics and stuff, but they're both very good.
We might have actually seen every move. I'm trying to think if there's one we didn't.
That was everything, I think.
We didn't see the diagonal sweep, which is pretty much the exact same as the other one, so it's fine.
Right, fair enough.
No,
not time.
Just like Ori 1, this game has just a little bit of extra stuff that you got to do at the end, right after defeating the boss. So Roos is going to have to, unfortunately, watch this cutscene as a result, but then we'll be holding right to get to the final input of the game.
While we're watching this, similar shout outs to after the Ori 1 run. The Ori community is just like, it's so phenomenal. Some of my absolute best friends in the world came from this community. Like I can't shout it out well enough. If you like these games, they're great speedruns. Big thanks to Hobbs and Scar for helping me out with commentary here. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you for
It's
having
really
us.
fun.
And shout out to NoReset. I've run for you guys a few times now. I've always had an absolute blast. So I really enjoy your events.
It's always our pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. I apologize for all the frame problems. I really wish that hadn't been an issue.
It happens. No worries. We tried to make the best of it.
If only those CPU and GPU were easy to buy right
I know. It's killing me. All right.
I got a 1070 in tow for 5,000 if anyone wants it.
Oh, man. What a deal. So I don't know about you guys, but like I had to see this ending maybe like 5, 6, 10 times before I wasn't tearing up by the end of it. Like this game is absolutely beautiful. The casual is one of the best game experiences I've ever had. So anybody who liked this, like seriously go buy it. It's so good.
Yeah, like I cannot. But both Ori 1 and Ori 2 will like literally change your life. They're that good. Like they're so amazing.
Like quite literally, I literally met my fiance because of streaming Ori, so it's literally a life-changing game. All right, time will be coming up shortly. We just have to walk to the right here a little bit and really milk all these emotions out of the player here. But once we sort, Ori will kind of fall to the ground, and that will be the last input. I will call it out as it comes up.
Of course, we all know the real last input is when Torn Steppen shows up in the credits.
That's true. There was actually a prominent speedrunner of the first game got hired on to the studio to do this one as well. Time is coming up shortly, and time.
And also, beyond that as well, Dr. M64, who did AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake, got hired by Moon Studios to work on the level design, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really? That's super cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so if it weren't for taking the death to Shriek, I think that would have been a PB, by the way. I was plus 10 seconds at the end of that one there.
Oh,
Wow. I was going to say, like, things were going pretty well. It was just a couple spots here and there, but not much.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, that run seemed really good, honestly. Great job,
Yeah,
guys.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much for letting us show this off. Love this game, but we still have several more very good games coming up, so I won't take up too much of y'all's time.
Well, once again, I just want to say thank you for being with us. As always, it's always a blast to have you and Smashy with us. And I'd like to also give a huge shout out to our commentators. Did a tremendous job and absolutely killed it.
Thank you very much.
Totally agreed.
Thank you.
And with that being said, we're entering the final 2 runs of the marathon. It's been 4 days that have been jam-packed with emotions, PBs, even world records. And at this point, all we have left is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past and the Chrono Trigger Jets of Time, which was the incentive at $20,000 that y'all have met yesterday. So it's honestly, I can't thank everyone enough for all the donations that came in, all the support. We're a much smaller event, and we come from a very local scene here in Montreal, but to see everyone banding together to back us and for this very important cause that's very dear to me on a personal level. As some of you might not know, I have a 9-year-old severely autistic child, and I'm lucky as a parent, but not everyone is as fortunate as I am with the situation that I have with my son. So they need all the help they can get, and the Fondation des Petits Rois actually is stepping up to help those people and make sure that their kids are going to have a sustainable quality of life throughout all stages of their lives, not just when they're kids. Because as you know, kids don't stay kids forever. Obviously, they become adults, and when the older they get, the harder it is to get the necessary resources to help them live fulfilling lives. And it's, I guess I'm rambling right now, but it's just honestly, it means the world to me. And just thank you, everyone. And thank you for each and every one of you for being here today. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope we get to meet again on stream.
Thank you so much.
So we're going to go to a quick setup and get that Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past run ready with Parisian player. And there's a little bit of a twist on this one. It's going to be reverse boss order, but it could also be viewer boss order. And we'll give you more details on that after the break. Stay tuned.